I know that James would never do anything that he thought he would fall off, because it's not respectful to your friends and family to sort of take those risks. His climbing style, I think it's unique, and sometimes the things he does look superhuman, and and I forget because it's just James, and then when someone says like, whoa, how does he do that? I'm like, whoa, yeah, that's my boyfriend climbing that.
The last great problem is obviously something that's such an obvious line that always looks it looks impossible, and has been tried by every generation of climbers that comes through the system.
You start off the floor and it's relatively easy to get to the base of the groove, where you're going to place, I think, 4 pieces of really small kit. As far as small gear goes, it's pretty good, but it's not bomb-proof by any means. The bigger spots I need to keep for my fingers and my feet. Right. And then you basically start the really sustained crux. You take a really thin break with your right hand, a high pinch with your left hand, a couple of smears really high left foot, and then you do the weird, like, first smaller slap and then a really big slap where your right hand comes off at the same time, and so at one point your only point of contact is your left foot. You catch quite a decent hold on the arete and throw your arm and your leg out and stop the barn door, and then grab a little pebble, which is really painful. You wrap the sort of join of your first finger around the back of it. You swap your feet, put a heel hook in, and you move your left hand up to a really bad pinch. Yeah, and then a really powerful pull off this bad pinch and this pebble, and your left foot smear to get your right foot on another small pebble. And from there, you have to then dyno out this position of pebble and bad pinch. It's pretty dangerous unless your belay is really, really good and quick off the mark, takes in a lot of slack, you're gonna be on the floor, and it's not the best of landings. Most of the times my fingers will hit the brake and and then be out, and so it's a really fine line for the belay to decide whether they need to run back or not. I think it's potentially dangerous.
Right, you ready then? I'll lower you.
Okay.
We're gonna see.
I've done a test hanging from the sort of the finishing move of the crux section, and I lowered down on the top rope, and on the sort of pseudo lead rope that I was on, my feet had touched the floor before the rope had even started to come tight.
If he blows the crux at the top of the groove, yeah, it could be messy. Could be very messy.
I'm used to the process now that he goes through, and once something often clicks on him once and he knows that he's capable of doing it, that's sort of when you see a bit of a change in him. I suppose he's just quite reflective. He reflects a lot. So I lived with him at his mum's house for 2 years beforehand, and Yeah, I've travelled a lot with him, so lived in vans and stuff, so I've got pretty used to him. You often have to make him have a shower sometimes. You have to like remind him that he needs to wash his hair. Or, yeah, remind him to do stuff, but generally he's pretty well house trained. Hey James! Hi.
Oh, hello.
Do you want a cup of tea?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, you know what could happen, and if something goes wrong, you know, it's not going to be pleasant. But you try and, I don't know, focus on other things.
It's really nerve-wracking, so I try and make sure nothing, as far as I can help, can go wrong when he's about to do a really hard climb. And then afterwards, it's just like willing him up the rock, like concentrating more than anything else. You're just like, ugh. And then you just like wish them up the rock as much as you can. Just like will them to stay on.
Okay, do it like there.
Well, we've marked exactly how much rope James needs to do the move to the break, the crux move. So it's not too much in case he does fall off. I'll be able to get enough rope in, and it's not too tight, so I'll pull him off mid-crux. I think if he falls off at the crux, as long as I get 2 good steps backwards down the hill, should just about keep his feet off the ground, or his feet will touch the ground. I think if it does go wrong, potentially, and everything doesn't work as we've planned it to work, then you might not walk away.
He's feeling nervous. When he phoned up his mum this morning, she said, "Oh, it's dry and cold," and he was like, "Oh, dry and cold. Great." I said, "You wanted it to be raining, didn't you?" He was like, "Well, maybe." I think he's probably worked himself just into a bit of a sort of lack of confidence almost. Like, though, he's either going to say, "Oh, it's not right today," or he's going to say, "I'll just go for it." Hello.
It's okay, I'm gonna go and have a go now.
Okay. All right.
Got psyched, went up and put the gear in, came back down, squeaking my boots, and found the reason why I'd been slipping off. A big hole in the sole of this one that's appeared in this session.
Yeah. You haven't got another pink one of this?
Just a bit gutted, really. I kind of almost assumed it was going to be in the bag, and I was just really psyched to get it done today, and just, yeah, really frustrated and a bit upset and annoyed. But I guess that's the way it goes, and don't let things get to you that much. Just kind of focus on what needs to be focused on.
When he's doing hard routes, I think often I would prefer to be there just in case something does go wrong, so I could administer first aid or phone his mum.
If I fell off and broke a leg or something, or worse, then I couldn't work, and it's my work at the minute that's paying for the mortgage, so I don't know how we'd pay for this place.
I do think about it, but that's just part of going out with a climber. I think you have to be aware that they might fall off, but I know that he won't fall off, and he's really bendy as well. Like he doesn't tend to hurt yourself, do you?
Touch wood, we're gonna be, should be okay.
He's had a week off, so he's well rested. He's got new boots, so I think he's quite excited today.
I mean, this is quite an iconic route, obviously a last grade problem, and it's the next step for James. You see, one thing he's always wanted to do, as long as I've known him, he always wanted to do a climb that he will be remembered by.
Top crux is something that is generally overlooked by everyone that's tried the route, including myself, until it actually came down to trying it properly. It's very balancy, very precarious and very fall-offable. The thought of falling off this section was pretty downheartening, actually, knowing that I'd have to go back and do the whole lower section again.
Oh, that was sketch.
Yeah. All I've got to do really, keep my eye on him, quick look down, just check the markers are there, and that's it. And I don't think he'll fluff it, but if he fluffs it, I've just got to move backwards quite quickly. To me, he's the best thing I've seen since Johnny Dawes. There's no doubt about that. I think in his approach, his style, his attitude. I love the way that he's doing this stuff without mats, because I think that's really important, because when he does this first ascent without mats, that will be a marker. There's no point coming back now and doing a second ascent with mats.
More. Just keep your head about you. Come on. Come on, James. Come on. Just keep your head about you. Come on. Get it good.
Brilliant. Bad boy, you.
Okay, I'm safe. Thanks ever so much. Woo. Oh, I knew that. That was very enjoyable. Very nice.
I would never want him to stop trad climbing because it was dangerous. It's part of the fun. Come and rescue us. Come and rescue us. These little night lights spying on us. All the stars are shaking with fear and astonishment.
Dave MacLeod, he's trying to do something, in my opinion, that in this country anyway, nobody has got anywhere near to. There are a few people operating at the highest level in one or two disciplines, but there's nobody operating in all four.
It does really require different attributes, and I don't think anyone's quite there yet. There is no all-rounder.
I feel like I've got to a good standard already in this band. I've pushed that really far. I've spent a lot of years trying to do hard routes and I've managed to do that. But there's some levels that I need to get to in the other disciplines, especially 90 in sport climbing, 40 plus in bouldering is the same level. And with winter climbing as well, I just want to do harder and harder new routes. I think training for endurance is actually the hardest thing to do if you live in Scotland, because it's just not like Europe where there's limestone walls everywhere and you can get that volume of days on steep ground. The main thing I have to do is go on longer trips to sport climbing areas. So like when I go to Spain in November, I've got to try and fit in the training and the climbing all in the one trip. There's no way around it. I have to go out on fit and try and get fit as fast as possible.
I don't think people realise how hard it is to climb 9A. I mean, you know, these are not routes that these guys get on. They get on these routes and they think, I can't touch this thing. I think unless you've spoke to people or you've experienced what it is like to climb at this level, the awareness, I think, is totally missing. I think he should get a gold medal or something if he achieves. Stick it in the Olympics.
I bolted A Muerte like maybe 15 years ago. Was my first route I bolted in Campi-Kipugi, and I say, wow, it's so hard this. I bolted with Carlos Brasco, and we bolt many routes together, but this is still one of the last we couldn't do. No Carlos, no Tony. It's like, fuck, one day maybe we're gonna realize the route. It's impressive, eh? A Muerte means to death, but it's an expression to say we must do a muerte, like we must do to the end, like full gas.
Fuck! Oh, sorry about that.
What happened?
I just missed it. That's it.
Eso, levantate y cruzar el de arriba. El de arriba es bueno, ¿eh?
So you've got the first wall, just slightly overhanging wall, and that's about maybe an 8B. What I do is I climb up that's 5 bolts, and I clip that bolt, and then I down climb back to the ground for a rest. So I've got all those bolts clipped, so that when I go for my red point, I just blast up that section. I don't have to stop and do any clips. It's 20 moves to the jug after the crux, and then an 80 to the top. It's just hard. The crux is basically 6 hard moves in a row, just one after the other. Big powerful moves in pockets, and that's partly why I find it so hard. Is like I'm not so strong in the pockets, and also on really big powerful moves. And this is both. It's like you have to get pocket and reach way out to the side like that, to the left, and then again to the right, and then more powerful moves. So I don't know. In some ways it suits my strengths, in other ways it doesn't.
Los 3 le meto, pero no tiro. Claro, no vas a tirar, ¿eh? Hasta cuando te empezás a levantar, se empieza a hacer un poco... Y le tenés que tirar para afuera, así como... La posición con los pies.
That's why that last move's hard, because it's dead fiddly to get the undercut. You can miss it really easily.
For me, one of my dreams is to bolting good routes. If I can do, super good. But even if I don't do it, it's nice to see if the new generations, they dreaming to do it. I think this is one of the spirits of climbing, no? To say, come on, do it, this is a dream. And
So it's sort of guessing to get my hands to the right temperature. Well, 9A for me, I never thought I'd be able to do something at that level. So I'm going to try it, but I have no idea whether I can do it or not. I think I'd be really stretching myself to manage that.
Dave Klein very precise. Very precise, he's move well in the rock. It's good. It's good to see Dave climbing.
If there's one thing it's like I can do is fight really, really hard on a route. I'm good at trying really hard. So if I've got half a chance of doing it, I'll probably do it.
Oh my god, that looks horrific.
I knew it was going to go that time.
Proper flapper there now.
Oh really?
Feel fairly close. Not like I'm going to do it any go now, but yeah.
It'll happen one day.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So if I don't do it now, then I'll just come back. So it's quite cool because I can be quite relaxed about trying it. I'm not too worried if I don't do it because I'm expecting not to do it. But I know if I just take my tries and try really hard, then I might be lucky and do everything right and manage to do it.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, come on!
Come on, Dave.
Fuck.
Come on, Dave. Glenn! Well done.
Hands are really cold.
Come on, Dave. Come on. Do it. You got it?
With what Dave's doing, we've got other specialists or semi-specialists, because you know, climbers tend to do a bit of everything to a certain degree, but I think Dave seems to be cutting the mustard with everybody in every discipline, and that's quite, you know, very, very impressive.
I think across the range of sports you will find examples of people who are successful in a variety of disciplines. If you go into the sort of Olympic disciplines, then you will find the decathletes who are extremely competent across 10 sports, but would be unsuccessful in the individual component sports, sprinting, hurdling, jumping, for example. Competent all-rounders, but not elite individual sports. The unusual thing in what David's trying to do is that there are very different physical requirements in the individual component sports. The shorter climbs will put a great emphasis on high power production, and that will prefer you to have a big muscle mass. The longer climbs would require a smaller muscle mass and great endurance. It's very difficult to try and straddle those two physical demands at the same time.
Glen Nevis is my backyard for climbing, but it's actually a huge place. There's a rock everywhere, buttresses and boulders, and I love just like spending time just wandering around the hillside, and you always find new things. Every time you go out, you find new rock, new boulders and new projects. You go up one side of the glen and you find something good to work on, but then you're looking across and you're like, that looks like a boulder over there. And there's all these little hidden alps and ledges that always have these boulders hidden on them. The first thing that's difficult about being an all-rounder is just the overall load of climbing that you're doing, you know. You're trying to do enough training in each different discipline all at the same time. It's just hard to manage sometimes, like, especially in winter and spring are the worst times because you're trying to be fit for your bouldering, but the mixed climbing conditions are perfect. So much to do, heading away. And it's not just going to one crag where you can see all the routes in one go. You kind of wander about the glen and things are not obvious until you're right there. You go through phases of thinking, oh, it's all done, there's nothing more to find. And then you just look at a new part of the hillside. And it's always the places where you least expect to see any rock. You can't see much rock from the road. When you go up there and round a little corner, there'll be some amazing boulder there. But that's Scotland for you. It's like, so often I've done that, gone on random walks, not expecting to find any rock, and you just come round the corner and there'll be some pristine little wall sitting there. It's great. Well, I've spent time trying to repeat as many of the hard trad routes around the UK as I possibly can, but one place that I've hardly ever had a chance to get to is the lakes. So the obvious thing for me to do is to go and try Dave Birkett's routes. He's got so many hard trad routes. So I think because I don't have that much opportunity to get there, when I go there shortly, the obvious one for me to try is the hardest one. Go straight for if 6 was 9. That has like the biggest reputation. It probably has the biggest reputation out of any trad route in the UK or maybe even the world. Dave Birkett did it in 1992, and then it must have been the hardest trad route in the UK or the world by a long way. And it sounded like it had for the first time that mix of like hard sport climbing in a situation where if you fall off the cross, you are going to die.
There was a bit of a race between Birkett and maybe we glanced up before someone who were having eyes on this line, and then it was just deemed to be far too dangerous and hard. So they decided to leave it, and it really got under Birkett's skin, this route, and he put a bit of time and effort into it, and I think he just really pulled quite an amazing ascent out of the bag on that climb, and put his life on the line, as it were. If I were to choose one route out of Dave Birkett's selection that would be the one to repeat, then if 6 was 9 would be that route.
All the routes that Dave's done have been some of the hardest trail routes in the world over the years, so for me this is a really obvious challenge for me to come and repeat. It's probably the route I would want to repeat most, the trad route I'd want to repeat most in the world. For all the years I've wanted to do it, it's like kind of hanging over me a little bit, because I know it's a super dangerous route. You really don't want to fall off the last section. And there's a piece of gear, but it's not very good at all. And if it rips, then you're going to kill yourself basically. So. Black on yellow. Okay, watch you run tight and yellow. Slack on pink. Not over yet. Okay, I'm safe, clear!
Well done.
I think for like doing this and doing my route on Cairngorm been really good for me, like sort of reminded me that I can do scary routes, because I had a bit of a period where I was like, I'm in good mental shape to do scary routes, but I feel like I still am gaining confidence, so. The other week, my friend John he showed me this boulder called the skeleton boulder. It just looks absolutely amazing. Like, it's a real gem. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, yes, this is the one. I'm going to spend a lot of time here. But I'm going to spend the whole, autumn and spring here, basically. It's a massive boulder, really good rock, big overhanging wall on one side, huge roof on the other side. And you're just like, wow, perfect lines going up every side of the boulder.
And I loved you so. Talent, you wasted well.
The rock there is still kind of a bit damp and dusty. If I come back, all this will dry out and I'll just give it another clean and it'll be all pristine and perfect. It's quite a lot of work. And they're like folks that don't do new routes, like sort of automatically assume the rock was always like this, but all the routes you do once looked like this probably. Very few of them you just come to and the rock's already clean. The best project was right out of this cave. There's like a seam line that comes out through the cave, but there's got no holes in the actual seams closed. But at the start there's like a big pinch that hangs down, like a big solid pinch, and then after that there's just these 45-degree sloping crimps going right out to the lip. And you can see that straight away there's enough holes that it's possible it will go, but you can see as well that it's really, really hard. And as soon as even after I felt the holes for a few minutes, I was like, I think this is going to be in the region of 1 AB plus, if not harder maybe. I can do all but one of the moves, but yeah, I'm not quite sure how I can do that move. I've tried just about everything, it doesn't seem to work. But it will go, Basically I have to get my heel to bite in that little nick there. It's quite sharp, it should get a bit of friction on there. And then jam my heel will go there and jam my toe against there. And that's got to basically hold my whole body weight in while I match and reach out to the next edge. That doesn't work.
And I loved you so.
It's terrible. Trying to do that, but my foot's just dropping right at the bottom. So I'm wondering if you can either toe hook there, or I don't know if you can get a twist jam. Your fingers are in there, that's the thing. I'm not sure what's best, I'll just do that and then clamp between with my feet right in there.
No way you can change, not even time can take. Wasting your time.
Not sticking at all. That's good, that's good.
You're in heaven when you
Touch it for a second.
You're in heaven You're in heaven when you lie so well. And I loved you so. And girl, you lie so well. Each other through the lonely nights. For I'm in need of help to see things other than on the graveside. A dark shadow, it runs right across my eyes. Yeah, this lonely boy seeks a lonely girl for conversation, to share tales of woe and love torn apart. Then if we may convey just some of our feelings, then perhaps we might find solace in each other's arms.
I'm not quite sure how I can do that move. I've tried just about everything. It doesn't seem to work. But it will go. It will go.
David's first degree is in physiology and sports science. I think that gives him a great advantage in terms of performance, because whilst he has the knowledge to support his training methods, he also has great confidence in the underpinning science. And I think the last aspect of elite sports performance delivery is having the confidence to trust your training, trust the advice you're given, and actually put yourself in a rather difficult situation and deliver.
As soon as you abseil down, you start seeing all the little breaks and hooks, and it looks quite inviting. There's a patch of turf on that ledge, and you think, God, how amazing would it be if we get here? And the angle, it does start to lie back from vertical a little bit. You think, well, maybe it might go. So, well, I've done this abseil inspection. I might just try and go for it. It's pretty full on. Jeez, oh.
Began to think, well, maybe there's a chance that it could go without working it, and it would be worth at least having a try. And I actually thought, like, the most likely outcome is I'll get 5 feet off the ground and fall off. But I thought, well, I'm going to give it a go anyway, so I'll just hold off top roping it before I have an attempt first.
All these rounded things to your feet as well.
Most of the time on hard mix climbing, it can be physically really hard, but it's still quite secure. The hurting is really unusual because it's so insecure. It's hard to find a route like that, but it's these granite seams that it's got all up the wall. They're like rounded granite seams, and in the back they've got maybe a tiny bit of moss or something like that. And you're like getting a lot of stick with your pick in then. And if you move the axe like out or to the side a little bit, it rips. So if you feel that you've got a stick, you've got to think, well, is it sticking or is it not? And pulling it really gently.
Come on.
You get close to
Too much is on yellow! The conditions were so bad. Like there's really gusty wind and like a bad storm. Basically there's like spindrift blowing in your face from all directions. So as soon as you look at your feet you get a blast of spindrift in your eyes. My foot's gonna go. Oh fucking hell. That better be topped well. Too much hand to wheels. Oh, get in, you fucker! Sit. That foot's gonna go. Watch me here! Don't hook! I actually fell from that last move, reaching for the turf on my first try. I had a bit of a long fall. It wasn't too bad, but I fell into this tiny cam, and like if that had come out, I would have had a monster fall. But I sort of fell maybe 20 or 30 feet, and I pulled back up to the cam, and it was the only piece of gear, this micro cam, and it pulled right out of the crack, and it was sitting just 2 cams on the edge of the crack or holding. It's like, oh my god, like lower me down quick. But I managed to do it on my next go, thankfully.
No! Well, at the moment, I'm on a year off, so it's good because I've been able to do lots of training and go outside on the grit and stuff in between the rain. And I'm going away for 3 months soon, so that'll be good. Do lots of routes.
Katy is a great all-round sort of rock climber. She's won the British bouldering championships at a very young age. Amazingly impressive, and she seems to be able to, mix that up fluidly with climbing outside, E5 traditional routes on site, head pointing E6.
I'm a cool hot assassin, spend time like low now back in, a prowler on your trail tracking.
First met Katy and Peter. Peter would be about 9, Katy would be about 11. Basically climbing down the edge with their parents. I clearly saw that they had level of potential. What they both possessed, though, was fun. They weren't serious in terms of their projection and where they wanted to go with climbing. They were just climbing, they wanted to have some fun, etc.
When we were younger, climbing at the foundry, my mum doing like 6B or something, and I was well impressed. And she was like, well, you're going to be better than me one day. And I was like, no, no, I'll never be better than Mum.
Just done my GCSEs, so I'm doing AS levels now, and I'm trying to concentrate on trying to get good A levels. So doing that during the week and trying to get all the work finished, and then I can climb at the weekend.
So Pete's strengths, climbing is definitely like his technique. He always figures out some weird way of doing like a move or something if you can't do it, and if you can't do it, then he'll keep trying. He's really psyched.
I got climbed with Ben Cossey, or he came over last year sometime, lodged with Dave Binney. We went out like quite a lot, and then because he was doing stuff, I just progressed.
It's the environment in which you climb. So Peter had someone else to climb with. Somebody that didn't just climb E2 and E3, but now just soloed things, yeah? Soloed E3s, E4s, E5s, etc. And I think blindly, perhaps, Peter simply followed him.
Yes!
Yeah! Yay! Cool! Brilliant!
Good effort.
I
think Katy was thinking about Nosferatu. She'd already had pointed an E6, and I think she was thinking I could possibly flash an E6.
I'm pretty nervous because you don't know what's coming up.
The players at the table fly crooks and cheats. A big shot shark in the other is me. This a hustler, and it's not for the me. Want to stick with the ready, stinking I'm weak. I'm the target, but I'll play on regardless. The trap's been set, trying to snare beside us. I ain't going out like no two-big chop. Too smart for that shit, but too dumb to run. I came to the table with a ball of rock. I was rolling in the stagger, I play a mean drunk. Slump down in the 1-foot chair. The sharkers were bored and did not understand. When there were 3, I was there making up the other checks. See how they fare, but no one really cares. And this is where the game kick in. Dealer cut the back, all the players are in. I switch back, hit the round. The shark's on jig. My eyes are on him, waiting for the sting. It's the sting. My eyes are on him, waiting for the sting. It's the sting. My eyes are on him, waiting for the sting. Now let me tell you about this man, the shot. With a heavy set frame and a cold outside. If it's a game in town, it'll be a buy. He don't like to lose, so he fixes the cards. Always the same pack, bicycle blue wax. Got a thing about women with the 4 jacks. I've done my research on the facts, so I'm side opposite and now I'm with cash. Playing the part of this ram so cat. Loose with the
Yeah! Oh my god, I made a right meal of that.
Nice one.
Fantastic! I didn't think I was going to get that top bit then. I'm so pathetic at jumping. Oh, yes.
I think without their parents and the level and the contribution and the passion that they've brought to their children, I don't think Katy and Peter would be at the... They may not even be climbing, I think. And they support each other without any impression that I've ever seen of pushiness. It's more an encouragement.
I worry to an extent about some of the things that they're doing, but I don't feel as though I push them into it. Peter will pick up the guidebook and he'll be pushing me to get out to have a lift to the crag. It won't be the other way around.
I think they get a sense of a bond as a family by enabling each other to achieve something that perhaps wasn't achievable unless they were as a whole.
Climbing as a family, I would say that's mostly what we do.
Well, we are going up here.
Oh, this is where Pete was determined not to use the wire.
Katy, will you give us a smile, please?
Orange moon, waves, the cold of doom, so sleep, touching the border.
Katy wanted to do Kaluza Klein. because it would be her first E7.
Kaluza Klein. I did it myself a few years ago. Found it quite bold, technical, very thin. You get some gear far too low down to be of any good, and then you start up this sort of slabby scoop, thin pebbles, you know, typical gritstone nightmare really. And then at the highest point of that, right when it gets the thinnest and you're quite terrified above your gear, you have to make this stretch out rightwards to your rep, really off balance. It's a great route though, a classic gritstone frightener.
It's just not my type of climbing. It's just really, I'm really uneasy, like you're not really standing on much, you're not holding much either, and then you just kind of have to, and then your feet kind of come off as well as you come around the corner.
I just can't do it.
I obviously, nervous as in like your heartbeat and everything speeds up, get a bit like shaky, but it's more like mentally. It's just whether your mind takes over or not when you climb and you start panicking about the consequences.
Go on. Go on. Nice. Go on. Nice. Go on. Go on. Good one.
Oh.
Nice one.
Nice one, well done.
Good stuff. I so nearly missed that hold around the corner. So close. I actually thought I was going to fall off.
If anything went wrong, I'm not sure really what people would say, but it's not something that I've actually thought about all that much. But I can see also that people, if something did happen, might see it as something that you shouldn't be allowing your kids to do.
I think they've both got pretty good heads when they're trad climbing. It's always been very controlled, and I think they know they can do it.
That I was warm and so strange things happen, test your resolve. You get shaken when you go involved. So easy to say, so much harder to do. You know you gotta go when you don't wanna move. Just catch 22s, the tongue gets loose.
I remember seeing it on hard grit and thinking, oh my god, that gear looks bad. never wanting to lead that. Yeah, I did Braille Trail last year when I was 16, and then I came back to have a look at direct finish to it.
Come on. Go on. Go on, Peter.
No
Go
more.
on. I got you.
Yes.
I think the impressive thing about these two routes, Braille Trail and Grandad's Slab, is the fact that, you know, indoor bouldering strength isn't going to help you on a bald gritstone slab. when you're feeling your way across this, you know, little bumps and lumps and pebbles. So a natural climbing ability's got to shine through, hasn't it? And that's what is impressive at this young age. You know, it's not like big blob power pulling. It's technical and dangerous climbing. And to be able to do that at this stage in his career, if he can keep that going, it's going to be extremely impressive. The obvious line to go on the buttress is the direct start to Braille Trail, which has been looked at by quite a few climbers, including John Aaron and various of the top UK climbers.
One day last year, I went to have a look at the doing a direct start to Braille Trail, and it's fierce. It was way too hard for me. It's got 3 cruxes on it. The first one is a finger edge slab to a big rounded boss on the arete. Now that one I can see isn't so bad, and the gear's not too far away from you. But then the real crux is the mantle shelf. I couldn't get close to the mantle shelf. It's just, you'd need to be a beast, a real beast.
Looks absolutely disgusting. Rock over with his leg around his head, basically. Oh, and his fingers, when he comes up to this hold, they like just creep on. Go on, Pete. Go on.
Above the mantle shelf, you find yourself on Braille Trail, facing the crux, and the gear is now ridiculously far behind you. With a sprinting B layer, you may or may not just about be able to stop hitting the ground from the crux itself, but you've still got another 3 moves to the top, and there's no way you would stop hitting the ground on the top. It's a very, very dangerous climb. If anybody could do it, they would have to be climbing at least E9 and quite possibly E10.
Well, I reckon I'll be pretty much safe until the rock over move. I think, just imagine I'm on top rope and I'll do it.
I was thinking where I was going to jump from, so I was taking in more rope as he came down.
It's 5 to 6. How's it go down?
I'm going now, like pretty much.
Okay, it's up to you, Pete. I'm not rushing at all.
Pink on left.
Pink on right.
Pink on right, even here.
Come on.
Come on.
Yes. Yes. Come on, concentrate.
on, top rope. Easy days. Come on. Come on. Top rope, top rope. Top rope. Top rope. Top rope. Top rope. Top rope. Come on. Steady, steady, steady. You, yes, 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 yes.
Come on. Come on.
Oh. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yes, yes. Yes.
Nice one.
Yes.
What's the scariest ever made?
Ooh, flipping heck.
I've never heard him talk like that before on a route.
Top rope, top rope, top rope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sensible. Top rope, top rope.
Really, really, really proud of him.
I don't think he could do much worse than that now.
Yeah. But not bad for a noggin.
What attracts me to this route is the challenge. Somebody, i.e. Dave, has laid down this challenge which is like a really hard piece of climbing. The second thing which I like about it is it's not super dangerous, or in fact it's not even that dangerous. If it was dangerous then I wouldn't really be on it. One of the problems that I've got is I'm not big into danger, and traditional routes in Britain, as they get harder and harder, they tend to get more and more dangerous. It's kind of quite hard to find something which is hard, spicy, but not actually dangerous. And this is kind of it really, and it's pretty much perfect.
Okay, take. Still scary last move. Ooh, it's all on that horrible thing. Touch a slack again, James.
The red point was good. I mean, it was, again, I had absolutely no expectations. I climbed the crack in like rubbish style, fumbling around all over the place. I hadn't really worked it very well, and by the time I got to the ledge I was tired, and it was like, right, okay, I've got a couple of options from this ledge. What shall I do? So I hung out there for a while, and then just thought, oh man, might as well just have a go. I haven't fallen off yet. Let's see what happens if I fall off. I kind of expected to fall off.
Yeah. Good. Tight.
Come on, Steve. Come on, Steve. Stay tight. Good job, Steve.
I got you.
Come on, Steve. That's it. Yeah. Come on. Do it. Come on. I got you. Come on, Steve. That's it. Stay tight. Come on.
Anybody next?
You want to go full?
I think you should go next. Okay.
Got higher than what I thought I was going to get. Literally got within, I think I got within one move of getting to probably the top. I mean, hard to say. There's a few more moves there, but the next few moves I'm pretty solid on. So I got within a move of maybe doing it, which is kind of good really for a first go. So, you know, bring it on, another go. Not today though. So yeah, I'm inspired to try. I'm surprisingly inspired. I'm more inspired now than I was an hour ago. An hour ago I was like, yeah, let's see what happens. Now I'm like, oh, I want to come back and do it, I want to do it, I want to do it.
As am I. More inspired now. I mean, you know, just watching Steve climbing on it, you know, definitely, you know, set the bar there. I mean, within a handful of tries, he got to, you know, to my high point, maybe even a move beyond. You know, and I've been on it for 8 days now, so that was totally inspirational. You know.
No, don't beat yourself up, man.
What's that?
don't beat yourself up. I've took all my knowledge from you.
Yeah, you know, I coached him through it.
Yeah,
no, it was great. I mean, you know, we're just at two different levels, really. I mean, you know. And was it hard or anything, or was it pretty soft?
Get back down to the ledge again.
Oh, fucking shit. Really? It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Really?
Make sure it's close, 'cause I'm as close to the edge.
Sunny morning. All I ever remember when you're within calling distance, and hold your head up high and walk away in glory. It's easy when you're high, you try but end up falling.
First learned about this route maybe 4 years ago or something, just on a random trip down there. Quite a few people have tried it, a lot of the local developers, even some, you know, like travelling rock stars, I guess. Johnny Dawes has been down and tried it, and they kind of equip this line of pegs up this big blank sea cliff.
We came down with James to have a look at this route that he's been trying, and yeah, it's pretty impressive really.
It's just big, you know, it's a massive cliff.
It's epic.
Yeah, it is epic.
And the sea's big and it's all rolling in and the clouds are piling across the sky, and yeah, it's not a place that you go to and you feel kind of enticed into pushing yourself to the limit.
It's definitely got an atmosphere to it, for sure.
I finally started to take all the pegs out, so I'm down it in one pretty wet and blustery day. This is a collection of them. I finally took the last two out. It was really odd, the sort of change in atmosphere on the wall was quite crazy. Just almost seemed like it, I don't know, been given a facelift. Been given a new lease of life. It's, you know, nice, clean, untouched wall again. The actual route and the climbing is completely different to anything that I've done before. A lot of the stuff that I've done, especially on my trad, is on the grit, and you tend to be finished climbing after about 15 metres maximum. And really, you've barely reached the first bit of gear on this route at that point.
Just doesn't seem to want to take gear.
The bottom half of it, it's really bold and it's really hard. I fell off it a few times earlier today, and yeah, you wouldn't want to fall off it. You wouldn't be walking away from it. So that particular part of the route I'm not looking forward to at the minute.
Those kind of routes where if you fall off you're going to hit the ground, and especially if it's the kind of moves where you know you could easily slip off and they're insecure and you can't just pull a bit harder
or get a bit fitter for. They're the kind of worst ones, really. Certainly for me, they don't really appeal to me, really. I think I've just got a little bit too much sort of middle-aged self-preservation about me, and maybe 10 or 15 years ago I might have been.
Are you saying that James doesn't have any self-preservation?
Well, he's got less than me, evidently. He's got less than me, yeah, that's for sure.
It's like any bold route. Something happens and you just get on with it, and yeah, I'm sure I hope it'll all be all right. Check the weather and then try and work out if we could figure out a way of getting there when the tide was out and it was still cool. Unfortunately, the only time we could do that means a 5:30 start, so we were up pretty early. Yeah, I don't feel particularly great at the minute. I feel kind of sick, in fact. I think generally I've just underestimated this start. Figured it was something fairly bold at the start to get into the meat of the route, and it's not all. It's really hard, really dangerous, and really scary. In fact, maybe it's the most scared I've ever been before doing a route. You start off and you climb almost 10 meters with no gear, and then you get a really very bad nut, which is maybe you'd hang your coat off it. I don't think it'd hold a fall, but it's nice just to place something and you feel a little bit less isolated.
Nice.
And you do the crux of the lower wall, which is pretty hard and pretty scary.
Nice day.
Slack.
Slack.
And there's many positions, especially in the top of the wall, where you can really you get some good holds. You can stand on your feet and take a lot of weight off your arms and really have a chance to think about things. So I think that's the most difficult thing about this route is that your rational brain is allowed to take control back over your body, which often it doesn't have when you're doing shorter, intense routes. I think the biggest part of this route is the mental challenge of it. And so every time I come down, knowing that the last time I was down here, for one reason or another, I failed on it, the pressure is building and building and building and building, and you know, lots of sleepless nights and lots of worry. My stomach's in knots. I feel sick, feel not very good, just very scared basically. Like anything that's tough, a lot of time you question, is it actually worth it? What is climbing this route going to actually achieve? You know, that at the end of the day, it's just a bit of rock, and it's a bit of a silly obsession. But on the other hand, you know, it is something that's very important, and I think maybe the fact that I've invested lots of time in it makes it more important. And you don't want to waste your own time and waste your own life. This is the fourth specific trip to try and lead the route, and unfortunately it's not looking too great. After getting on the route, just discovered that it was very greasy. Obviously, as of yet, I've been unsuccessful again, which is normally really frustrating, but I think that I've kind of got used to it now with this particular route. It's certainly not letting its defences down easily. It's making me work harder than I've had to work before for any route.
Okay. Feel good? I'm feeling a bit nervous. It looks completely blank and very frightening. Well, hopefully he's got it just about wide, so quite confident, I think. Fingers crossed, legs crossed. My biggest concern at the moment is I think I might be getting wet in about half an hour or so as the tide comes up onto my belay. Relax, and we're going all the way to the top. Enjoy.
And when you're actually on the route, you just feel so isolated and so alone and so helpless. It's so blank and featureless. You just kind of sat pressed on this wall and you just, oh God, there's so much still to do and I can't remember any of it. And it's not until you start a sequence that you actually start to remember the moves. It's just unrelenting. It just goes on and on and on and on, and toes start to hurt, and your calves start to hurt, and it just doesn't stop. It keeps coming at you and coming at you and coming at you.
Joking. Come on, James, hang in there. Keep moving. Foot in. Upwards.
help me do this?
On a sunny morning, all I ever remember when you're within calling distance, and hold your head up high and